South Africa's political and legal landscape is once again under the spotlight as the Umkhonto weSizwe Party moves to urgently block pension payments to National Director of Public Prosecutions Shamila Batohi. The case, now heading to court, is shaping up to be one of the most controversial legal battles involving the country's prosecutorial leadership, raising serious questions about accountability, institutional independence, and the use of legal mechanisms in political disputes. At the heart of the matter is an urgent application filed by the MK Party seeking to prevent any future pension benefits from being paid to Batohi. The party argues that her leadership at the National Prosecuting Authority has been deeply flawed, citing what it describes as failures in prosecuting high-profile corruption and state capture cases. According to legal filings and public statements, the MK Party contends that allowing Batohi to receive full retirement benefits would amount to rewarding what they see as institutional underperformance. The party is reportedly asking the court to intervene before any such payments are processed, arguing that the issue carries both financial and constitutional implications. Here's what that means for South Africans. The move signals a growing trend where political parties are increasingly turning to the courts to challenge state officials not only over policy decisions but also over personal entitlements and post-service benefits. While the MK Party frames its application as a fight for accountability, critics argue that such actions risk undermining the independence of key institutions, particularly the prosecuting authority. Legal experts warn that the case could set a significant precedent. One constitutional analyst, speaking broadly on the matter, says, targeting pension benefits of a sitting or former public official through litigation is highly unusual. If successful, it could open the door to similar actions against other office bearers. The development also places renewed scrutiny on the performance of the NPA under Batohi's leadership. Since her appointment in 2019, Batohi has repeatedly acknowledged the challenges facing the prosecuting authority, including capacity constraints, internal rebuilding, and the complexity of state capture-related prosecutions. In previous public remarks, she has defended the pace of prosecutions, stating that rebuilding a weakened institution takes time and must be done carefully to ensure cases hold up in court. However, opposition voices, including those aligned with the MK Party, argue that progress has been too slow. Opposition leaders argue South Africans were promised accountability after state capture. What they have seen instead is delay, weak prosecutions, and very few high-level convictions. The MK Party's legal action appears to tap into broader public frustration around corruption and justice, an issue that continues to dominate political discourse ahead of upcoming elections. At the same time, the case raises complex legal questions. Can pension benefits, which are typically governed by employment law and public service regulations, be withheld based on perceived performance? And, more importantly, does a political party have the legal standing to pursue such an application? Experts suggest the courts will need to carefully weigh constitutional protections, administrative law, and the independence of Chapter 9 and prosecutorial institutions. There is also the question of timing. The urgency of the application suggests the MK Party wants the matter resolved before any retirement-related processes begin, possibly to prevent what it sees as irreversible financial consequences. Meanwhile, the presidency and government insiders have remained cautious, with no formal indication yet of direct involvement in the legal dispute. Observers note that the case could place additional pressure on President Cyril Ramaphosa, particularly regarding oversight of key institutions and appointments within the justice system. Experts warn this is not just about one individual, it's about how South Africa balances accountability with institutional independence. The outcome could reshape how public officials are held accountable in the future. The legal battle also comes at a time when political tensions are rising, with parties positioning themselves ahead of future electoral contests. For the MK party, the case reinforces its broader narrative around state accountability and institutional reform. For others, it raises concerns about politicizing the justice system. Here's the bigger picture. South Africa's legal framework was designed to protect institutions like the NPA from political interference. However, it also allows for judicial review when there are claims of misconduct or failure. The challenge lies in ensuring that such mechanisms are not used in ways that could weaken institutional stability. As the case moves through the courts, several outcomes are possible. The court could dismiss the application outright, citing lack of legal basis. It could allow the case to proceed, opening the door to a deeper legal examination of Batohi's tenure. Or, in a more dramatic scenario, it could set conditions that affect how pension benefits are handled for senior public officials in the future. For everyday South Africans, the implications go beyond legal technicalities. This case touches on a fundamental question: how should public officials be held accountable, and where should the line be drawn? In the coming weeks, all eyes will be on the courts as arguments unfold. The outcome could redefine the boundaries between politics, law, and governance in South Africa. And as the debate continues, one thing remains clear: the intersection of accountability and institutional independence is becoming one of the defining issues in the country's evolving democracy.